On February 2nd, 1971, the year's main event saw Idi Amin take power as president of the East African nation, Uganda. As president, dictator might be a better word, Amin was notorious for flagrant violations of human rights, economic decline, and social disintegration. It has been reported that over 500,000 people were killed or simply disappeared under his rule. His brutality and disregard for international law plunged Uganda into chaos and poverty. Amin started out as a soldier in the British colonial army in 1946 and became one of its first Ugandan commissioned officers. Although he was considered a skilled soldier, Amin developed a reputation for cruelty. He was also an accomplished sportsman, holding Uganda's light heavyweight boxing championship from 1951 to 1960. He became an officer as part of the British Africanization of the army. He rose through the ranks and was eventually made the army's chief of staff under Uganda's first president, Milton Obote. On January 25, 1971, while Obote attended a Commonwealth meeting in Singapore, Amin led a coup d'etat and seized control of the country, declaring himself the new president, while Obote fled to nearby Tanzania. In the beginning, Amin was welcomed both within Uganda and by the international community. He announced that the military-led government would only stay in control until new elections, also making promises like the release of all political prisoners. He gave former King and President Mutesa, who had died in exile, a state burial and reiterated his promise to hold free and fair elections to return the country to democratic rule in the shortest possible time. His popularity increased when he disbanded Obote's secret police and assured Ugandans that he would hand power back to the Ugandan people. 1 week after the coup, on February 2nd, Amin announced himself not only President of Uganda, but Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Army Chief of Staff, and Chief of Air Staff. Just weeks after he took power, his brutal side emerged as it became known that he had killer squads hunting down Obote's supporters and killing Americans who were investigating massacres. The squads were responsible for tens of thousands of abductions, tortures, and murders of innocent people. Amin retaliated against the attempted invasion by Ugandan exiles in 1972 by purging the army of Obote supporters, predominantly those from the Akoli and Lango ethnic groups. He expelled Uganda's Indian and Pakistani populations who owned almost all of Uganda's businesses, blaming them for controlling the economy. About 40,000 Indians and Pakistanis fled, many across neighboring borders. Entire villages were wiped out. Cabinet ministers, journalists, university professors, business executives and religious leaders disappeared by the dozen. However, most victims were ordinary citizens, killed at the whim of Amin's murderous henchmen. Amin was forced from power in 1979 by a combined force of Ugandan exiles and the Tanzanian army, forcing him to flee on April 11th, 1979. First escaping to Libya, eventually he settled in Saudi Arabia, where he died in 2003. Apparently he succumbed to a mixture of hypertension, kidney failure, and other ailments. Idi Amin's dictatorship lasted just 8 years, but the effects of his brutality and ruthlessness are still felt today. He used violence against both opponents and ordinary people alike, and transformed Uganda from prosperity into economic ruin.